Why are white men so afraid of strong black women? I've had to deal with comments today that were misogynistic and racist and homophobic and transphobic, all because of a strong black woman. And you bet your bottom dollar that I called out every single one of them because I am that guy. I won't stand for hate. But I'm not afraid of a strong black woman. I'm proud of a strong black woman because she's had to deal with all of that garbage, and she's still a strong black woman. I'll stand proudly by her any day.
Women have always been known for their boldness, their presence, that kind of energy that is really impossible to ignore. On the other side, white women notice how men are responding. This often creates reactions, tension, and opinions that are worth a big discussion. So today we are going to dive into a topic that has been shaking the internet for years, and yet people are not coming out to talk about it. That is, white women react, why some men are intimidated by black women. So today we are breaking this topic down with respect and honesty, because understanding each other is better than pretending that these conversations don't exist. So welcome to Polytalk channel, a space of real discussions, real stories, and spoken truths. So sit, relax, and let's handle this topic with great depth.
So this lady asks, this black lady, are white women really that scared of black women? And I'm going to say yes. And this is my opinion as a white woman who is 53 years old and has lived in the South in Georgia in my entire life. But it's not being scared, but it's a fear. And it's not a physical fear. It is the mental fear. It is what we see in you and what we see you doing and how it challenges us and the fear of that. So we see black women and we see how strong you are. We see you coming together as a community. We see you supporting each other. We see you supporting your community, supporting your families, supporting your children, going out and fighting for your rights, being authentic in your race and in your femininity. Anyway. And we're jealous. I think we're jealous because we would love to be that, I think, and we don't know how to break out of the indoctrination that we have been suppressed by our entire lives. And I'm not giving white women a pass, don't get me wrong, but I know I, and most women, white women have been told our entire lives, be quiet, know your place, be a good girl, don't rock the boat, don't be too much. And when you are any of those things, you are ostracized because you have rocked their boat. And that is what black women are. You rock our boat, our mental boat, because you challenge us to look at how we are deficient and not living in our truth, and it makes us uncomfortable. And people don't like to be uncomfortable, and it makes us start to question ourselves, and people don't like to question themselves. We would rather live in our little bubble of white supremacy and what we know and comfortableness. I know that's not a word. Than a lot of people would, white women would, rather than challenge themselves to grow and know more, because it's easy. Doing the work is hard. It's really hard. I've been doing the work the past several years, and it's hard. It is hard admitting some truths about yourself and some truths about yourself as a white woman. So yeah, I think that white women are scared of black women because you challenge us in that way, and a lot of us don't like it. And that's why we fear you. It's because we fear what you make us face.
But I would like to say what scares us is I think we hear violence.
The young lady said she's afraid of violence. And isn't it sad that we who have been the victims of so much violence. Now whites fear violence from us. We do not have a history of killing white people. White people have a history of killing us. See? And what you fear, may I say this, sir? What you fear, and it's a deep guilt thing, that white folks suffer. You are afraid that if we ever come to power, we will do to you and your fathers what you and your people have done to us. And I think you are judging us by the state of your own mind, and that is not necessarily the mind of black people.
I don't know if it's just me, but as a successful black woman, I find that a lot of men are intimidated by me. And I don't know if it's because I've accomplished so much in such a short amount of time, but a lot of men will not talk to you because of the accomplishments that you have. And I've been like, I don't really care, honestly. Like, I want an equally yoked partnership. But it's unfortunate that men really be intimidated that you have more emotion than them. And it's not even a competition, you feel me? People see you thriving, like these men see you thriving, and they think it's a competition. Like, I'm not competing with no man. And it's so crazy because I notice the insecurities in a man when I tell them, like, what I'm doing, what I've accomplished, and they immediately just back off. But that's a good thing. And I don't really care because I'm going to still do me at the end of the day, but it's...
You ever notice that as soon as a black woman talks about her education or her career, black men lose their shit? For people who claim they don't care about black women's degrees, they sure get hostile, defensive, and angry. Why do you think that is? Well, let me tell you. Not only do they care, it bothers the fuck out of them. That's why they lose it every time. It's not about your degree. It's not the diploma or the job title or the fact that you built a life for yourself. The real intimidation comes from this. You can't be controlled. You're not desperate. You know what you want, and you know how to get it with or without a man. For a lot of black men, it's never been about partnership. It's about power, ego, and needing a woman who makes them feel bigger, not challenged. They want a woman who will shrink, who will play dumb, who will be grateful for the bare minimum. But when you walk in educated, when you can hold a conversation, call out a lie, or set a standard, that fragile masculinity crumbles. You're a mirror they can't handle. You force them to confront the gaps in their ambition, their discipline, their manhood. You prove you're not afraid to leave if respect isn't on the table. It's easier to call you arrogant, difficult, or too independent than to admit that standing next to you makes their insecurities scream. If a black man is intimidated by your education, he's telling you exactly what he's not ready for. A woman who refuses to bow, refuses to settle, and damn sure refuses to be controlled.
Hello again, good people. As we wrap this conversation of today, I want to take a step back and really look at the big picture, because the idea that some men feel intimidated by black women is just not about the individuals. It is rooted to history, it is rooted to culture, media, and society has shaped the image of black women for generations. Let's start with the idea of confidence. A lot of black women carry themselves with a level of strength that comes from real life experiences. They had to advocate for themselves in school, in the workplace, and sometimes even in their own families. And that strength isn't something they put on. It is something they had to grow into, but that thing some men misinterpret. They see it as resilience. Instead of seeing that thing of confidence as resilience, some men see it as a confrontation. And the truth is, for a man who is grounded in himself, that can feel intimidating. But the issue isn't the woman's strength. It is the man's insecurities. As a confident man doesn't look at a strong woman as competition. He sees partnership. But a man who hasn't figured himself out yet, he might look at her and feel exposed, like she's going to call out what he hasn't dealt with, or expect a level of maturity he's not ready for. Another part of intimidation factor comes from stereotypes. For decades, black women have been labeled with words like loud, angry, too much, or too independent. And even if it's a man doesn't consciously believe those stereotypes, they still influence his expectations. So he might walk into an interaction ready to aid, expecting conflict that is not even there. But here, the thing nobody wants to admit, a lot of that intimidation is just coming because of the admiration those men have for those women. And remember that so many men are actually deeply attracted to black women. Let's look at their style. Let's look at their confidence, their presence, their energy. But they are afraid they won't measure up. They are afraid they'll be judged. They are afraid they won't be enough for those black women. The intimidation, remember, is not all about rejection. It's that fear of not being worth. And this happens across races. And by the way, black men, white men, Latino men, any man who hasn't learned how to communicate, how to be vulnerable, how to engage with a woman who knows what she wants, is going to feel that pressure when he meets a black woman who is clear about her standards. Now, I want to acknowledge the reality that some black women have built high walls, and those walls don't come from, anywhere. They come from being overlooked, misunderstood or disrespected. And when a woman has to protect herself for a long time, she's always going to show softness right away. Some men feel intimidated not by her personality, but the fact that she's careful who she listens to and who she lets in. And honestly, she has every right to do whatever feels is right for her. And but when we talk about intimidation, we also have to look about perception. Because one thing that I've always learned is that from the conversations that I've had men have, they don't always know how to approach black women. Some feel like they need to come with a certain attitude, a certain swag, a certain type of masculinity. But that pressure comes from, assumptions and not from reality. They are individuals, and the best to approach a woman is with authenticity. Now, let me flip this to a second. And if you are a man right now watching this conversation, you've ever felt that sense of intimidation? Have you ever felt that intimidation? Does it make you weak? Really? It makes you human. But the question is, what do you do with that feeling of intimidation? Do you let it shrink into you, or do you use it as a moment to check yourself? Intimidation often signals an area where you need to grow as a man, both emotionally, socially, and personally. And also, if you are a black woman listening to this conversation of today, you don't need to shrink. You don't need to be quiet to yourself. You don't need to, to look less or feel uncomfortable. The right man isn't intimidated by your power as a black woman. He is inspired by it. He sees your strength and brings his own strength too. He sees your softness and protects it. He sees your story and respects that. And also remember that at the end of the day, the intimidation narrative says more about men feeling, yani, what I'm trying to say is the intimidation just make men feel they make men know what they are looking for, and black women are not intimidating them. They are dynamic, they are layered, and the power should be appreciated and not feared. So if we want to shift this conversation, we need to shift our mindset first. Men need to step into confidence that isn't based on dominance but on emotional maturity. And society needs to stop framing black women as being too much and start recognizing that they are exactly enough. Black women know what they want, and the society should not look into them as people who are there just, to look down upon men. So where I leave it today, so for me, black women, even from the clips, as you have seen, black women, these are people who are fighting for themselves. They want to show the world that they can stand on their own. But also, men should not feel like these black women are looking down upon them, or they are doing so maybe to chase them away. No. So that is where I leave it for today. If you ever felt intimidated, ask yourself why you felt so. And if you ever been called intimidating, understand that people really see your strength, they see your presence and your truth. And people, this is Polytalk channel. Thank you for being here. Thanks for having this conversation with me, and thanks for listening. I'll catch you in the next conversation. Kindly subscribe, comment, and leave a like so we can know exactly what's going on in your minds in the comment section. Bye.